have increasing confidence that an active period of winter weather could be on its way for the mid-month time frame. And we've got some model guidance to go over today that could help us try to figure all of that out. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys have had a great start to your Wednesday and continue to have a good Wednesday as we move our way into the afternoon. It has been a drab day here. It's 49 degrees. It's been kind of sprinkling rain. It is now 1:27 p.m. as well. So, we've had several hours. It's been kind of sprinkling rain. We'll go over the radar here in a second. But we've got a storm coming up. That's what you're seeing right now on this loop here that could possibly overperform for some people. So we need to watch it. Some continued rain today. And later in this video, we're going to kind of dive into what we could see in the later part of the month and try to decipher what type of pattern we could be entering. So going to get into all of that now. Like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you've not done so already. And please leave a comment down below where you're watching from. Be greatly appreciated. So right here we have our satellite loop of the past hour or two of our visible imagery. And you can see flow kind of rides up, dives deeply down, and then kind of goes like this. We got a low, we got a high. That's been our pattern for a very long time here. And I think we'll see that pattern break as we get past the first week of February. Is the 4th, so we're getting closer to that time. You can see this belt of flow in the deep south here coming up from the Gulf. This has provided a lot of the deep south with some rain throughout the last 24 to 36 hours or so. We even had some severe weather in Texas yesterday. So if any of you were impacted by that, I hope you guys are doing okay. There were some severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings as far as I know. So yeah, been an active little stretch there. We've definitely had an active period of severe weather and winter weather, mainly just winter weather. But I think we'll see that break for a little bit and we might go right back to it. So no need to focus too much on this. This is just an overall look. And then we have our, radar imagery. This is the last hour of radar here. You can see this is belt of rain moving up from the south. And we haven't gotten a whole lot of rain here at my house in upstate of South Carolina, but definitely providing these areas with much needed rain, especially with the help of melting snowfall and sleet. So trying to get rid of some of these drought conditions. This is the only area of rain pretty much in the entire United States right now. We have a little bit of rain over here just south of the Red River, but nothing too major. Here we have our watches, warnings, and advisories, and just like we kind of thought, I don't know if I said this in yesterday's video, but confidence overnight did increase in some winter weather. So we have winter weather advisories in central and eastern areas of North Carolina, as well as the far southeastern areas of Virginia. These have been issued not very long, and if you click on one of these, there's a lot here, but mixed precipitation is expected. Not much snow, maybe up to an inch, and ice accumulations about a glaze. We'll go over those actual graphics here in a second. That's what these are for. You can see these purple ones. These were literally just issued. This is for black ice in some of these areas. And then these up here, see how it expires in 3 days? That's a winter storm watch. This is for a clipper that we will see dive down later this week that could provide some of these areas with some pretty heavy snowfall, maybe even breezy conditions as these are higher elevated, so we'll need to watch that. Other than that, the entire country is very, very quiet, other than some coastal things, small craft advisories, and these special weather statements up here are for dense fog. Not a whole lot going on. I think this is these are just wind related. So here we go. We're going to get past this and into some model guidance. We're going to go over the Euro, GFS, and HRRR model for this upcoming event here. I'm going to back this up in a second here. So this is getting into this evening, about 7, 8 o'clock. We have some snow breaking out in Virginia here, as well as maybe Kentucky. And it kind of separates the rain from the snow a little bit. I think we'll see that. We've already kind of seen that today, but we might see it happen a little bit more. Just sporadic rain showers in North Carolina and Virginia, along the southern Appalachians as well, with some mix. See that pink showing up? That is for that freezing rain. That's what that is on this site. So we may well see that. I'm not sure how much, but it's possible. And it finishes as some snow. And that is all we're looking at here. We'll take a more zoomed out look here in a second. The GFS starting off, go back a frame. Yeah, this is getting into this evening as well. We have snow breaking out. Maybe even as far west as Knoxville, Tennessee here, Along the Appalachians, there's some moderately heavy snow, and then moving our way east here, we have snow in the far northern areas of North Carolina and far western areas of Virginia. And as we move this on in time, getting into the overnight hours, yeah, just a reasonably broad area of some light to moderate snow in the mid-Atlantic. Just in general, the southern mid-Atlantic. We have snow in a lot of the same areas. It kind of breaks apart. This is getting into tomorrow morning. There's some freezing rain showing up in that pink and moves out pretty quick. That is all we got. Then we have this right here. This is the HRRR model. This is starting off now, or just about now. This is 1 o'clock, and it is 1:30 our time. So we're starting off now. It's initializing pretty well, and you see some snow showers, and it quickly starts to blossom here. This right here is 5 p.m. If you lose me, the time frame is down here where my mouse is, down where this blue slider is. So that it'll say the time right there. I will forget to mention those. But, snow, freezing rain, heavy rain, just normal rain at times in areas starts to fill in. So we got two separate areas here. We got an area over the Appalachians and then, areas of the Cumberland Plateau getting in on this and far eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, and then another really heavy area of snow in Virginia, North Carolina. So right along the border there, it expands even more and lasts for several hours. This is why I think somebody in here could kind of overachieve and get even several inches of snow. They're not calling for that, but you could see it. And over towards Greensboro here, let's take a more zoomed in look here. So Greensboro down to Statesville, Asheville, just a band of snow. Where this band sets up will be important. It's not really possible to forecast it, but it just depends. And then I hate to say it, but the Raleigh-Durham area seems to be kind of slighted again by the HRRR model. There's kind of snow on either side of you. You might get it. I think you'll get it on some, enough to make the ground white. But there is some sleet and freezing rain mixing in here as we are getting into tomorrow morning. And do you notice this? Let's take a break from this area up here and look down here. It could be snow showers in Atlanta, the Greenville-Spartanburg area. So I think it's possible, especially in the morning when it's cooler like this. So it's possible we see that. And it starts to move offshore. We end as some sporadic to even widespread snow showers in eastern areas of North Carolina, even areas of the upper low country, far eastern Midlands of South Carolina to the Sandhills of North Carolina. And it finishes off, and there's even a band of snow making its way through South Carolina here as we get into tomorrow afternoon. Actually, no, wait, this is getting into late Thursday into Friday morning. There's a band working its way off through Friday morning, so we don't even have enough to cover it. There's a band there, and if you got under that, it could drop several tenths to maybe an inch, so I'll have to watch it. Now, here is expected snowfall. I'm going to update all of these to make sure. So the only reason I have this pulled up is because it includes areas a little bit further to the west than the other graphic I'm going to show you, but they're not going for a whole lot in areas of, say, like Knoxville. Now this is mountainous, so depending on what ridge or valley you live in or on, it's going to matter, but most of the area does not see a whole lot. Now, you could get more than this, especially along the northern areas of the Smokies. So just watch for that. You could overperform a little bit. Then we have this broad graphic. I'm going to reload this as well. And they're still calling for very similar stuff here. Just trace amounts to maybe half an inch. There's an inch showing up here in like the Elizabeth City, just north of Elizabeth City, the Hampton Roads, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach area. So you could get that. I think we do have kind of two maximums, and it's kind of even showing up on this graphic here, how you got kind of a gap. I feel bad for you guys. This event was never something huge, but at the same time, you may have held out some hope for it, and I understand that, but you might get something. Who knows? Just watch it. I think areas further to the west, along the Smokies and the southern Appalachians, could get more than this. I could see that happening based on like the HRRR scenario. But with that being said, we're going to move past this. That's enough of that. So we have the Euro, the GFS, and the Canadian model to go over here for the long range. So we're starting this off Friday morning. You see that area of snow up in the Great Lakes region. It starts to dive south. There are areas of heavy snow in here. And this is why, and in areas of West Virginia, they've got winter storm watches in place already. This is several days in advance because they have enough confidence in this. I think more of that could be driven off of stronger wind and slightly higher snowfall because you're higher elevated. I don't know. It does get some snow, even down into like Elizabeth City, North Carolina. So it could go pretty far south, breaks up a little bit, and then gets a low going off the coast, but it doesn't really do anything with it. Just kind of hangs around. And then we get past that. Then what? Well, if you watch the last couple videos, you would probably be saying, well, what about the 10th through the 12th? Well, let's get there. This is the 10th, 11th, 12th. Here we are. There's something there again. But right now, at this time here, we've got a ridge riding up like this. So, our storm track would be kind of suppressed to the north. They might start in the central areas of the Rockies, for example, but kind of go north and then back down a little bit. So they're kind of going to leave areas of the south alone. And this short time frame here, I think we could get something, but it would be like a northern areas of the U.S. event. Moves on through. Then we have this thing again. This is getting into Friday evening into Saturday. This could well be some sort of severe weather event. I could definitely see that happening. See, especially considering how far north our cold air is. You can see this line right here, this dotted blue line that says 540. That's 540 decameters above mean sea level. So that is 5,400 meters or 5.4 kilometers, which would be 3 or 4 miles above your head. That's the freezing line aloft, is what that really means. And for example, I'll look here at our temperatures at this time. So in areas of the deep south, even though we have rain-cooled air mixing in, we possibly have mid-60s to upper 60s. That will get the job done for some severe weather. We just saw it yesterday, do that same thing. So we need to watch that. This has been consistently showing up on the Euro. So there's that. That event moves through. So there's some sort of event. But notice how that's past our time frame. I think we've got 2 time frames for different areas of the U.S. I think the 10th through the 12th, we have a risk for the central to northern plains and up into the Midwest to get something. And then we have a secondary frame here, which would be like the 12th through the 14th for a large storm system. Whether it's severe weather or winter weather, or this would be a mix of both, most likely. I don't know. But we need to watch for something. We have a slight pattern change back to some troughing. We'll look at that here briefly. But after that, there's some snow, not a huge event, and we're getting out into no man's land when it comes to a reliable time frame, and then that's the end of the run. How about the GFS model? We're starting this off Friday morning as well. There's that clipper. It really does highlight the Appalachian Mountains. You can see it in areas of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, down into Virginia, and maybe even North Carolina. You see heavier snow. That's why they've issued those winter storm watches. And it sticks around in some of those areas. It could be an extended period of just light to moderate snow. Moves off into the northeast. There's a secondary clipper. The GFS and Canadian both show this, where there's a kind of more beefed up secondary clipper that rides in afterwards. Then, this is getting into the 10th, the 11th. There's a lot of active stuff here. Now take a look at this. This is shown up on this run. This is not today, but the Wednesday after, about a week from now, February 11th. We got a very zonal look. So let's kind of dissect this a little bit. You see these dotted lines kind of just going across the U.S. That means flow just goes from west to east, just straight in a straight line, does not really go up or down, doesn't buckle, doesn't do anything. But you see an area of rain and snow. Well, watch what it does. It kind of rides through. This would be a moderate event for some people, but it's a little bit warm. I would think in a scenario like this, you'd get more mixing to occur between these two. I don't know. But that moves on. Then we're getting into the 13th. What is this, you might say? 14th. Or into the 14th, 13th and the 14th. Look at that snow in North Carolina and surrounding areas. I'm not even going to name specific places. This is that 12th through 14th, maybe 15th time frame. It would be a large snow event for a lot of people with freezing rain mixed in. This is the GFS. This is about 10 days or less. So this isn't way out no man's land. It's still pretty far out. And for example, the last run looked like this, but see how there's something there? and this is the latest run here. If we continue this on and it finishes as backside snow, that is that's the 12th through the 14th. So we have two time frames. 10th, I'm going to circle just real quick, just so you can get the idea. I would say up in this region here, the 10th through the 12th is your time frame to watch. I don't know why I just drew that. And then areas maybe, this is kind of hard to draw. In here, the 12th through the 14th could see something, not just based off the GFS, just based on our pattern in general. We could see it. And then afterwards, there's another big thing up here on the 16th that's really just way to the north. And then we have a huge rain bomb. I mean, across central and eastern areas of the U.S., getting into the 17th. That would be 13, 14 days from now. And multiple rounds of rain in the deep south. So it could be a flooding thing if this were to come to fruition. But just pay attention to the earlier time frames. This is out in no man's land. And then we'll look at the Canadian as well, kind of work our way through this pretty quick. First clipper, it actually dropped it. I said earlier that they both showed it. It kind of dropped off on the latest one. It's got something in the northern areas, but on previous runs, that clipper you see to the north over the Great Lakes went further south. It kind of breaks up on this one. But then, 10th, 11th, 12th, we got something, again, for those northern areas. And then this is into the 12th, the 13th. Do you see it? There's something here. I'm telling you guys. You remember how in yesterday's video I said we could wake up tomorrow and see something that shows snow for areas further south? Here it is. I mean, this is a pretty amplified, beefed up system, but it's not so amplified that it keeps snow way north. This is under 10 days. This is Saturday the 14th. This would be less of a severe event because our freezing line is further south. So it's probably cooler. And like if I look at our temperatures here, yeah, well, what I would look at here is that for areas of southern Georgia, southern Alabama, and the middle areas of South Carolina to the low country, you could be looking at severe weather, not a forecast. None of what I've shown you in the last like 10 minutes is a forecast, except for the stuff right at the beginning of the video. But that's a pretty big area of snow in the mid-Atlantic. And that is the last frame we have. So who knows if it was going to go up the coast, go out to sea. It's hard to tell. But, I mean, for example, if this were to happen, you'd get the winds going too across these areas. So you could have blizzard conditions where it's windy. I mean, I'm telling you guys, there's two time frames. This is the 14th. The 12th through the 14th is our southern areas time frame. If we're going to get anything in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be then. And again, for the northern areas, the 10th through the 12th seems to be your time frame. So watch for that. Now, AI guidance time. We use this for pattern recognition as that is what AI is intended for, and that's what it seems to be good at. There's this clipper, dives down. Another clipper kind of breaks apart. Here we're getting into the 9th, the 10th. Got something. There's a low. It rides up. So again, it keeps the snow in the areas further north. It's a very interesting look where it's snow further to the south like that. And then what happens after? 12th, 13th, 14th. So it has a system, but it keeps it way more amplified and way further north. So you have a ton of rain to the south, but it keeps all the snow and wintry precipitation way to the north. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't hate this scenario. I mean, I'm a winter weather fan. We saw nearly 5 inches of snow at my house with the last event. That's the most snow I've ever seen at one time in my life. It was awesome. But I'm a storm chaser when the season comes around for it. So, for example, the 14th time frame, if that were to be severe weather as opposed to winter weather because it's too warm, I would absolutely love that. I haven't chased in months because there hasn't been anything to chase. That's just my own personal opinion. That's getting my emotions involved, but at the same time, we've had our snow. I'm ready for it to warm up. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, but this is a way more amplified look. Could well be severe weather to the south. The GFS AI Clipper dives through. We have a lot of confidence in it. And then we're getting into the 10th. There's the low tracking across. Snow areas to the north. And then what happens? This is getting into the 12th. The 14th. Doesn't show it. This is through Saturday morning, so this isn't the entire thing. It has a low here. Now, if I had to guess, this is forecasting purely for my own knowledge. If we have a low right here, Based on our pattern, I would guess it goes like this. You can see our freezing line and this bolded blue kind of drops south. So you might think, oh, is it going to go down here? Probably not, as these are progressive. So as this low moves out, you're going to get more of this pattern back here, this zonal, where these lines just kind of go across to enter the picture. So if I had to guess, this low would track somewhere like that. And that would bring snow to this area if it happened. That is a wish cast, if you will. Let's get past that. Here is Snowfall. This is the operational Euro. This is through only I'm not even going to show you this for the areas further south. This is for the Clipper. That's why I have this pulled up right here. So a few to several inches of snow could fall in the Great Lakes region into Canada all the way down through the Ohio Valley. And you see here how areas where they've got these winter storm watches up. There could be as much as 4, maybe 5 inches of snow that falls. That's not a forecast. It's not final, but you could see it. And it really does show here on the Euro how it breaks apart once it hits the Appalachian Mountains, as storms tend to do, and leaves areas of the I-95 corridor just kind of alone. So there's that. And now I'm not even gonna show you the longer range. I only have the 6Z. I can show you an earlier run. I'm not going to pull this out to the end so you see a bunch of color light up. I don't think that's helpful. I did that in the last few videos and I kind of got thinking about it. I don't think that helps you because I can barely explain that. So this is just this. This is what we're confident in. Now, GFS through our clipper. Notice how this highlighted area of snow is not only more intense, maybe as much as 6 inches, but it's way further south into the Smokies here with those totals. And again, ignore this stuff on the leeward side of the Appalachian Mountains. That's just from the thing that we're going to see over the next 24 hours. But again, a few to several inches of snow, although it does cut off a little bit further to the east. So areas of Indiana, Wisconsin could definitely kind of not get as much based on the GFS. And this is not a forecast either. I honestly think if I had to circle anywhere, I would look in here to get generally, or rather, let me do it again. I'm going to do it the way I really think it's going to happen. A few to several inches of snow could fall in that circle. And that's not to say if you're down in here in Virginia, oh, I can get a few to several inches. Maybe, but really, really areas inside that circle. But not to focus too much. I'm not going to pull this out to the end and show you anything crazy. Although, I will, with the GFS, I'm going to throw you guys a bone. This is what it did, the GFS did. And, yeah. I mean, I don't have really any thoughts on this. Other than there's a 0.01% chance this happens like this. I think our pattern kind of supports something that could happen like this, but not in this sense, not this amplified. This is a lot of snow, just a ton of snow for these areas. And you know this. I'm sure you guys in the Raleigh-Durham area are like, yes, we're finally gonna get something. Please don't look at that and think that. You like to see this for areas further south. It's a great look because we're finally getting some of those fantasy runs. This is, to be clear, this is one fantasy run. Let me show you the run before that. So the area was up here and kind of down here. So it's similar but not the same. How about the run before? No. So this is really a one-time thing where it looks like this. Could it happen? Yes. Will it happen? 99% chance it does not happen. That's what I'm going to say. But hey, we do have it. It is a model run. Now, I will show you the Euro ensemble zoomed out through the entire look. So I want you to notice in some of these areas, like the entire state of Virginia has at least an inch. That is not typical this time of year. That tells me the Euro ensemble, which is made up of 51 members, does buy the scenario where you get some sort of system that drops snow. So there's that area that I notice. We have dropped the area of 1 inch or more further south. This was, I think, like up here kind of. So I think we're trending to where we're gaining confidence in an event up here somewhere and an event in here somewhere. Are those two circles massive? Absolutely. They're huge. And if you're in, say, Pierre, South Dakota, and you're thinking, well, does that mean I'm going to get snow? Well, could you? Yes, there's several models that give you something, but we have to watch and pay closer attention as we get closer. There's no point in going way overboard and hyper focusing on that. Not yet, but we have two places that we need to watch. I already went over those. So here's the blend of all models for the Clipper thing. All I'm going to show you. I mean, it's kind of similar to the GFS in the sense that it doesn't like areas of, I mean, it doesn't even like Minnesota very much. It's Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana. You guys that were kind of at one point in it are not anymore. Could you? Yes. I just don't. Your totals based off of this are not very high. But 1 to as much as 3, maybe 4 inches fall in a lot of these areas. But this is, I think it's just a widespread thing. I don't think that you would focus in on specific cities. I would just, I mean, if you live up in the Great Lakes region, areas of the Ohio Valley, the interior Northeast, up into Canada, I think you have a shot at 1 to 3 inches of snow. That's how I would put it over the next, couple of days. And just for what it's worth, I'll pull this out to the end. Does it fill in anywhere? Not really. So the blend of all models is not excited about a whole lot further to the south or north. It just kind of remains marginal. So with that being said, let's get into our pattern here. I have no idea how long this video is at this point, but it's getting longer. So let's go over this. We're starting this off Sunday morning after both of these systems have passed. We have a ridge in the western to central areas of the U.S. If you don't know what you're looking at, this is the mid-levels, 3 to 4 miles straight up in the sky, and what you're looking at is the pattern at that height. If you see blue or maybe even like black almost show up, that is troughing. That is cooler air, lower pressure. If you see these red, like maybe salmon pink colors all the way up to maybe purple, you would assume that's a ridge and that is warmer air. So we move this on here. That ridge kind of moves its way. This is getting into the 10th. So it's the beginning of our first time frame. And I'll analyze this for you just briefly here. This is why if we get a storm into the north, that's why it focuses on the north. You might get a low out here, but it follows the black. It goes up to the north instead of down here. I mean, those little tiny changes are very important. So that is why that happens. This is the 10th. Getting into the 11th, the 12th. You see this ridge? The values start to decrease. It's starting to break down. Then, right here in the central areas of the U.S., you see that color go away, and you see the black lines start to buckle downward so that they're kind of bent like this. Not that dramatically, but you can see those. I don't know why that happens sometimes. Here we go. That is indicating, as we get into the 13th, so the 12th through the 14th is our secondary time frame. We have the beginnings of something. It starts to break apart. We have blues show up. I'm telling you, and they even amplify a little bit. If we look at, say, this right here, we'll look at this one. This is Saturday morning. We have blues. In fact, I'm not gonna do any more moving of frames until later. I'm gonna zoom in here. I just pinch zoom this. So you can see in areas further to the north, up in the Arctic, we have blue. And you see how that blue kind of comes down here and connects? That means we have cold air that is doing exactly that. It is kind of coming down from the north. So we have a cold air supply, possibly. Is this going to be frigid air? Probably not. That's why a lot of these scenarios have a lot of rain mixed in with them as well. But you got blocking up here in the higher latitudes over Greenland. You got blocking over here, over areas of the far northern Pacific. So what you call this is a cross-polar flow, where you kind of get flow that rides down like this, from the polar regions down into the lower 48. So that is why I do think that for our secondary time frame, is this a very aggressive trough? No, but I think for our secondary time frame, the pattern would support some sort of winter weather, and I'll try to circle this as accurately as I can in, say, this region, or rather, I'll do it in a different color. Make it a little bit bigger. I would say it supports something in here. That far south, probably not. If I really were to get detailed, it'd be in here, that little tiny circle. Now, obviously, this is a really zoomed out look, so the circle looks smaller. That is hundreds of miles, but still. Now, let's zoom this back out a little bit. It might take me a second to resize everything correctly. All right, let's gather ourselves here. It's into the 14th, into the 15th, and then we have a ridge build back in. This might actually bring some winter weather, cooler air across the western U.S. You guys have been absolutely scammed out of winter the entire season. So maybe you get something. You got a ridge to build back in across the southeast. This would be some sort of warmer air, and then it kind of goes zonal afterwards, where air from the Pacific goes straight across the U.S. without changing latitudes very much, and spills back into the Atlantic. So that's what that's called. We probably wouldn't get a very active pattern here, but if we did, this would support some sort of, low pressure just going straight over here. So that's kind of and anybody could get something. It just depends on where the low is. So there's that. Now, how about temperatures? We're starting this off a little bit earlier. This is Friday morning. Do you see that area of blue up in Canada? It's a small area. See how it starts to grow as we move throughout our day on Friday into Saturday. That's some very cold air. For example, it centers itself over West Virginia, primarily. This is a piece of the polar vortex that has broken off. We did not go over that in our pattern thing, because I've gone over it in the last few videos, but this thing right here is a piece of the polar vortex, broke off from the high latitudes and dropped down to the south. Some of these values in here, this is your temperature anomaly, so this is going to be above or below average. You can see a key right here. My head is probably in the way of some of it. But we have temperatures in here that are maybe 16 to 20 degrees below average. If your average daytime high is 40 degrees, that can mean your daytime temperatures are as low as 20 degrees and your nighttime temperatures are brutally cold. 20 is what I consider brutally cold, as I'm from the south. So there's that. Now, how about afterwards? Let's get into some more favorable time frames here. 9th, 10th, 11th. You might be looking at this and thinking, how on earth are we going to get some sort of winter storm up for areas of the northern U.S.? Well, take note, this is February. So these values, if you were to kind of extrapolate them over to here, that would be 8 to 12 degrees above average. I mean, you guys up here, your average daytime high temperatures are not that hot. So this is above average, but you still might be cool enough for a storm to actually happen, especially if that storm brings cloud cover with it, which they almost always do, especially ahead of them. So, that's not gospel. Just take that for what it is. This is getting into the 12th, the 13th. What I want you to really notice more than anything else is that these values decrease some. They don't turn blue, but they decrease a little bit. I mean, this is getting into Saturday morning, and these are much more close to neutral temperatures. You're not seeing really, really dark blues. No, I understand that. But these values break down. That's what's being indicated here. And then, I mean, even getting into the 15th, they are neutral across areas of the deep south and mid-Atlantic. Where does it go after? We get another warm up because that ridge flexes. So, and you can see those well below average temperatures across areas of the western U.S. So that is all I have for you there. I'm going to just leave it on this. So we'll go over this tomorrow. We're seeing trends here. I hope you guys in North Carolina and Virginia, maybe even South Carolina, I don't know, I might see some snow flurries. I hope you guys enjoy this event. This should be a nice one for some of you. Don't expect much. This is not a huge event, but stay safe with that. Make safe decisions. And we'll go over all of our updated information tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and I will see you then.